New conspiracy theory, because we've already had so many about why Big Ramy, Mamdouel, our two-time and reigning Mr. Olympia champion, did not go to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pro, to guest post like he was supposed to, and still has made no announcement as to why he wasn't there. So people have thrown out all kinds of crazy theories. I'm going to throw one out there. Why not? So we know Rami had the coronavirus, COVID. He caught that in 2020, just before he was supposed to compete in one of those European shows. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one. I think was it the European Pro? But it prevented him from being in the show, and that's why he ended up getting a special invite to Olympia, which he won. So he's had coronavirus, he's had COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. Could he be afraid of getting it again and passing it on to his 2 wives and 3 children? I think he's got 3. Is it 3 or 4? I want to throw out some statistics out there because Egypt has done a great job of not allowing the coronavirus to spread throughout their country. Look at this. So total cases in the U.S. for coronavirus, we have had 85,241,016 cases, according to the CDC. So over 85 million cases in the U.S. so far. Egypt has only had 515,645, so a little over 500,000 versus over 85 million cases. We have had over 1 million deaths. 1,029,524 was the number I saw. Egypt, in contrast, has only had 24,613 deaths. So great job, Egypt. As far as new cases and deaths, the U.S., we're seeing 104,480 new cases daily. They are seeing 0 new cases daily on average. Weekly, they're seeing 35 new cases across their whole country. We're still having 279 deaths daily on average in the U.S., 1,953. Almost 2,000 deaths weekly. They're having 21. So Egypt, hell of a job, Egypt. Great job on preventing this pandemic from spreading all across your country and taking a lot of lives versus the U.S. We've done a shit job of it. But could this be the reason? Could this be one of the reasons? Who knows? Because Rami hasn't said jack, so we don't know. I wish he would. I really wish. He's Mr. Olympia. I wish he would be a little more active, letting his fans know what's going on. His last post, it was a religious post showing Mecca, the actual Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and, professing his Muslim faith. And that's great and everything. God love him for that. Allah, but whatever. Come on, let the fans know what's going on. I'd really like to hear it from Rami because all we've been hearing is speculation from all these other people that know him, and nobody knows what's going on. So let's get to some of your questions and comments as we go to the live. So, what do we got, guys? What do we got so far? I'm looking for some all caps. Hi, Ron. What's up, Ron? Wow, big difference. Oh, that's it. How many vaccinated in the country? Yeah. How many vaccinated in this country? That would tell a lot. Ooh, I did not look at vaccination stats. I don't want to make this all about vaccination because YouTube will take down my damn video. But one thing that the U.S. made a huge mistake on, if they really wanted to make sure everyone was vaccinated, which, it's a whole other debate, and not getting into that, was they should have had some centralized, computer network, something, a central registry, a government registry for vaccines, who was getting vaccinated. We had nothing like that. So you have people with fake vaccine cards all over the place. And what are you going to do? DJ Leader says, what up, brother Ron? I'm in healthcare. 3 COVID-19 vaccines and getting my 4th. Honestly, the shingles vaccine was worse than any other for me. Some people, like my wife she had COVID before she got vaccinated. So then after that, she went ahead and got the first out of 2 vaccines. She got a lot sicker from the vaccine than she had from COVID. She was like knocked out for a couple of days after the vaccine. Whereas with COVID, it was like a bad cold for her. That's it. Double the wives, double the problems, LOL, says Desktop Bodybuilding Xavier. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys don't fantasize about having more than one wife because, you're probably running around with all kinds of single women and you don't have to worry about being married. But I think a lot of married guys think, wow, because you've been with the same woman for years and years, you'd be thinking, well, wouldn't it be cool if I could have more than one wife? I wouldn't be cheating. I'd just have more wives. But man, It would be a lot. I can't imagine having to take care of 2 households, 2 families. I mean, one's plenty. So in that sense, I'm not really envious. It's a lot of work. Let's see. Right desktop. Our stuff. Rami got an invite and won the Olympia. He had excuses for the invite. Do you think the Olympia should get rid of the invite? No, I mean, the invite is something they don't always use. It's not every year is it exercise. There's been years where there was no one specially invited, many years actually. It's something they keep in their back pocket just in case someone who's a really big name, someone who's really worthy. Let's face it, it's a business. The Mr. Olympia is it's a sport, it's a sporting competition, but it's a business. They're out to make a profit like any business is. So you want the best athletes in there. You want the athletes that people are going to pay to come see. So if someone didn't qualify for the Olympia and you know that person being in your Olympia would sell a shit ton of tickets, why wouldn't you invite them? You know, it's not fair. This is business. It's not about, you know, it's not always on merit. It's a money thing, as a business should be. You know, any of you who own your own businesses, run businesses, you know all that. What's up, Dwayne Charlie? Let's see. Boom Zaps. There's something called immune system. The 99% survival rate. I'll take my chances. Yeah, I mean, I know tons of people who haven't been vaccinated. They haven't got COVID as far as they know. I mean, I don't want to get... If I start talking too much of a vaccine, they'll take the video down. In fact, that little thumbnail I made, when I do these lives, I just make my own cheesy little thumbnails. I don't bother our graphics person to make one for me usually. So all I did was post... I took a picture of... Copied a picture, saved a picture of, you know, that spiral, the spiky ball that's what the COVID virus actually looks like under a microscope. I posted it to my Facebook timeline on only me, which means private, no one else can see it. And immediately I got a notification from Facebook saying, this violates our community guidelines, you're spreading false information about COVID-19. And all I did was post a picture on private. I didn't say a damn thing. So Facebook, talk about censorship. I think you can't even mention COVID. They'll censor you. You're not allowed to talk about it unless, you know, you're someone that they want, someone whose side of the story, whose narrative they're interested in promoting. Facebook. Man, great answer. Let's see. Desktop bodybuilding. What's your physique goals now, Ron? Has it changed all the sad passings in bodybuilding? Thank you for that question, Xavier. Absolutely. You know, physique goals... People, they talk to me, you guys talk to me like I'm a youngster like you. I'm not. I've been lifting since 1983. I competed from 1989 to 2013. So, you know, I achieved all the physique goals I was going to achieve. I'm not realistically getting any better at this age. Be real, guys. If I loaded up on a shit ton of drugs, maybe I could gain a little bit of new muscle, but I seriously doubt it. I've been on steroids, I say on and off, but mostly on, since the end of 1996. So this whole millennium and a few years, basically, with the exception of like a little bit. There were times where I took a year off here and there, off gear, and went born again natural. But yeah, I do plan to get in really good shape using more than TRT, which I always use more than TRT. Get in really good shape and do a couple photo shoots toward the end of the summer at some point. Just local photographers that I know do good work, and I'll have those pictures. And at that point, I'm going to go to straight TRT, just testosterone, a couple of units of growth hormone. Doesn't hurt either, but there will never be any more tren, maybe low dose, very low dose DECA, just for my joints, like 100 milligrams a week, something like that. But no more tren, no more. I haven't used orals in a long time anyway, aside from Proviron. I haven't used D-ball in a long time now. I haven't used Anadrol in years, but certainly no tren. Equipoise, Masteron, things like that. I wouldn't use those ever again. And I'll downsize a little bit, I'm sure, but that's okay. I was as big as I was going to get for quite a long time, and you know, who am I kidding? I want to live. I want to be alive and around for my grandchildren. My daughter's 28, and right now, no plans to have any kids, but eventually she'll probably have kids, and I want to be around. I just want to be around. I just want to live. You know, I like living as opposed to being... I'm terrified of dying, as I think most of you are. It's the unknown. I don't know what happens when you die. Maybe you go to heaven, maybe you go to hell, maybe you just blink out of existence. Who knows? You know, the people that have come back from near-death experiences, we don't know if they were actually seeing anything paranormal, supernatural, something of the next world, or if that was just the way the brain processes dying. I don't know. Why are we all over the place? Tony, hey, I have a lot of muscle. Yep, I'm sure you do. The control is crazy on social. It's crazy. Yeah. Paige Saavedra. How did the Figure Pro girls look in person at the New York Pro? I felt conditioning could have been better, but I wasn't there in person. They looked really good. It wasn't the strongest figure lineup I've ever seen. The bikini lineup at New York Pro was like Olympia or Arnold Classic level. Figure was good. It wasn't great, but I do notice all the times when you look at the webcast that the definition of the athletes doesn't really carry over as well as it does in person. Usually by the time you see the high resolution photos, those images, those are a little more representative of the reality of the condition. But I noticed with the webcast, a lot of times you're losing some resolution or something. I know they're all shooting in 4K and everything, but yeah, we have on this channel, I think we put it out already, the figure callouts, the first callouts and figures. So check it out for yourself. DJ Leader, Brother Ron, I have an appointment with Dawn from Frontline Alternative Medicine in an hour. Yeah, that's who I'm going to go to for my TRT once this summer blast is over. I say blast. I'm not going to be doing like grams and grams or anything, but if you're using over a gram, which I will be, that's a blast. I mean, a blast is anything over TRT, honestly. And TRT, guys, I say this every time, but like people still have this misconceptions. They still get it wrong. So TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, is meant for people whose bodies no longer produce adequate amounts of testosterone. So it's typically medically prescribed, although a lot of people do it on their own. It's just enough testosterone to put you into a normal range. Normal, not to get you huge and jacked. So most TRT is just 100 to 200, max 250 usually, of testosterone a week. That's it. No DECA, no Tren, no Primobolan, Equipoise, D-Ball, none of that. It's just a little bit of testosterone, which, you know, the doctors will measure they'll measure your levels through blood work to see that you're in the right zone that they want you to be. And that's where they'll keep once they arrive at the levels they like you at, that's where they'll keep your dose, you know, forever, basically. I'm sorry, I didn't even finish your question, DG. I'm sorry. Oh, you said, time for TRT, HRT with Dawn. Come along, my fellow 52-year-old. Are you talking, is Dawn 52 or are you saying I'm 52? I know I'm 52. Are you 52 as well? Yeah, we had Andre Miller from Frontline. I had him on a Ronline report about a month ago because I met him at the Arnold Classic. I met him actually the day I left in the lobby. He was sitting there. First, he was talking to Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie was in a wheelchair. And then it turns out, you know, Ronnie signed with them. I guess they were talking about that deal because it was announced a couple weeks after that. But yeah, I did an interview with both of them. She was in on it and Andre was in on it. It was a Ronline report. Yeah. Alberto Montejo, the writing is on the wall for Rami. The young thoroughbreds are breathing down his neck. See, I don't think Rami's physique is in any danger of losing the Olympia because guys have been looking great these past couple of years and he still won. I mean, who's beating him? Who's dominant? Who's way bigger than him? I mean, Nick Walker's pretty damn big. Is he bigger than Rami? Does he have better shape than Rami? He'd probably get better condition than Rami. I've never been really satisfied with Rami's condition because I just want to see more detail. But I still think he's going to compete. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, who knows? Because he's not saying anything, so who knows? People have been leaking that one photo. It was like he did an interview on Egyptian TV or something, and he's leaning back in a polo shirt, and he had looked like he had a gut, but he could have just been like letting his belly relax. So you know, he doesn't put anything out there, so we have no idea. Rami afraid, fear in his heart. I don't think, this is all speculation. I have no idea. I don't think Rami's afraid of anybody. I don't think he's afraid of being beaten or losing to anybody. I really don't. But I do subscribe to the theory that guys like Xavier and Trigili and Palumbo, a lot of them have said that, you know, he's so well taken care of as it is. He's got so many sponsors. You know, the Middle East loves bodybuilding, and they have a lot of very, very wealthy patrons of bodybuilding, guys who just throw crazy amounts of money at these guys just because. And they have billions of dollars. If they throw somebody like Rami $500,000 a year just to, you know, have more money, what's that to them? So he doesn't need to compete anymore, but you would still think, if you're Mr. Olympia, two-time Mr. Olympia, wouldn't you want to defend your title? Wouldn't we want to keep winning as long as you can? I don't see any injuries. I don't see his physique fading or anything that would indicate that, you know, he needs to get out, like a big hernia or something. I don't see any reason physically why he wouldn't keep competing unless maybe that's what's going on and we don't know because maybe he wouldn't want to talk about that. See, I hate speculating. I hate it. I really do. But what do you do when the guy doesn't say anything? And this is our champion. This is our world champion. And here's the argument. He doesn't need to post. He doesn't need to say anything. He doesn't need to do appearances. Dorian Yates used to hide out in his dungeon all year. Well, that was 25 years ago. That was almost, he started winning Olympias 30 years ago, Dorian. He won it for 6 years. That was in a completely different area. There was no social media. All we had was magazines. There were no expectations on these guys really to, be out and about and get seen and all that. But now we have social media. You have an obligation. It's kind of like a beauty pageant winner, because let's face it, this is a sport, but it's really very similar to a beauty pageant. So if you know anything about beauty pageants, and I'm not saying I know much about them, but I do know that if you win something like the Miss America or the Miss Universe, you're expected to promote that title and be an ambassador as the reigning champion for the full year before the next competition. They go and make appearances, they speak, schools, conventions, I don't know, but it's not enough just to keep winning. You're supposed to promote the brand, be a positive ambassador, get people really interested in the event and hype it up. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll do more of that. Stefan Todorovic, Ron, that LWT message me. Yeah, can't talk about gear on this. Sorry, guys. Hit me up on Instagram, Ron Harris Muscle. I'm not going to talk about gear on, my gear sources on here or anything like that. Does MD, Paige wants to know, does MD go to the Toronto Pro for coverage? This year, we're not going. I have gone. I went 17, 18, and 19. I went 3 years in a row. Great show. Had a great time. Not going up this year. We'll do some remote coverage, but we're not covering it in person, which, I would have liked to go on. I like Toronto. I like the way Ron Haché runs that show and his team. Very efficient. Everyone's so polite in Canada. But no, we won't be going. Pre-social media. Your title is embarrassing, man. What do you want for a title? You can't make everyone happy. You can't. Whatever title I had for these or whatever, somebody. If I put, is Big Ramy afraid of COVID? I think YouTube would have taken the video down immediately. Sorry if you don't like the title. Sorry. What's going on, Barry? What's going on? Our greens from Windsor, Ontario. Yeah, Ontario. Yeah. So. Yeah, like I said, I don't like speculating. Oh, here we go. Renaud. Since Nick Walker is a lean 295, now will he compete in the Mr. Olympia around 270? I don't think he's going to be that heavy, nor does he need to be. He won New York Pro and Arnold Classic. So at the Olympia, I believe he was right around 250. If he is 10 pounds heavier in the same condition, like 260, that's a huge, huge improvement. People get really caught up in these numbers. But you also got to remember he's 5'7" on a good day. The heavier somebody gets when they're not the tallest person and they don't have a huge frame, eventually some of it has to go to the midsection. You keep piling mass onto a frame, eventually the midsection is going to get larger. It's not going to stay small and tight as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. We've seen it with so many athletes over the years. So I don't think Nick will be 270. 260, maybe 265, and that's a massive improvement. People think, God, there's always this expectation that people should add 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. You guys don't have any idea how much weight that is. So I always go back to this. The late Mike Mentzer said, if you don't think 5 pounds of muscle is a lot, take 5 pounds of steak, put it right on the table in front of you, and imagine all that on your body. Now do it with 10 pounds. 10 pounds of steak in front of you on a table. Imagine that tissue on your body. That's a lot of muscle. It's those stupid old supplement company before and after, like this Muscle Tech and Cybergenics, where they'd show before and after where the before, he hadn't trained for a few months, he'd been off gear, hadn't been eating much. Then the after, they'll say it's 30 days. Well, he gets back on his gear, he gets back to training, pounding the food again, and boom, he's got 30 pounds. He gained 30 pounds. No, he regained 30 pounds that he already had before. Adding new muscle tissue is not easy. Even with someone as genetically blessed as Nick Walker, who trains like an animal and eats all that food, it's still not easy for him to gain mass. He's not putting on like 20, 30 pounds of muscle. That's a lot. That's ridiculous. Boom Zaps. What's your opinion on this trend of bridging cruising nowadays and guys never coming off? Well, I mean, it's a recipe for early need for TRT. I'll tell you that. If you never come off, your body's going to shut down permanently quicker than it would have. It took me from age 27 and to about almost 40 before I had totally destroyed my body's ability to produce adequate amounts of testosterone, because I used to come off. I would do cycles for a certain length of time, 10, 12, 16 weeks at the most, and then I would take at least an equal amount of time off. And I didn't do PCT or anything, so don't ask me about PCT. I was very ignorant, and it didn't matter. I'm not a huge believer in PCT. It just gets you feeling better faster, but that's all it is. It gets you back into your normal production a little quicker. But if you're young and you haven't abused steroids for very long and in large amounts, you're going to get your production back anyway. So that's why I don't believe you should do until you've already destroyed your body's ability to produce testosterone. Otherwise, you're always on steroids. You're always on at least a TRT dose. But for most guys, cruising is more than TRT. They'll cruise on, 400, 500 milligrams of test instead of 1,000, and they're still on a cycle. They're always on a cycle. Barry A, thoughts on doing less than 500 milligrams of testosterone per week? See if you have bodybuilding potential, doing blood work, of course, while living the bodybuilding lifestyle. I don't think you'll see much results if you go less than, say, 400 milligrams of test a week, because, like I said, if you've already, you haven't destroyed your body's ability to produce testosterone, you're not hypogonadal yet, you don't have that steroid-induced, what's it called? Gonadotropin, SA? Anyway, whatever it is, then using like a TRT amount dose isn't going to do anything for you. It's just replacing your normal levels, so you're not going to be ahead of the game at all. 400, 500. But I don't think people starting out on steroids should be using more than 400 or 500 milligrams of test. I think you should start at a very moderate dose for at least the first few cycles, because you're going to do well anyway on that. If you use a gram from day one, you'll never know if half a gram would have given you the same results. And over time, your body's going to need more and more. So you just have to keep bumping it up and up and up. Whereas if you start out low, you can get results on a few cycles like that. And when you see that things are starting to slow down, then you can start bumping it up. So you'll get more out of it, I believe, if you start more moderately. Red Trek, I'd love to add a 5-pound family pack of meat. Yeah, 5 pounds of actual lean muscle tissue. It's a lot. When people say, I gained 5 pounds, you might have gained like 2 pounds of muscle, 3 pounds of fat, or, some of it might be water bloat. A lot of the gains you see on steroids are water retention. And a lot of times when guys are eating a lot of bad food, junk food, fast food, because they just want to bulk up, a lot of the gains are fat. They're adding muscle, but they're also adding a lot of water and fat. So when someone says, I gained 20 pounds on my cycle, how much of that was actual muscle? In most cases, it's probably 5 to 7 pounds of that was actual muscle, and the rest was water and fat. Greg Ulysse up in Canada, IFBB Pro. What's up, Rami? What are your thoughts on Rami's apology? I'm an idiot, man. Where's his apology? Now I got to watch it. Now I look like an idiot because I didn't see his apology. Was that on his Instagram stories or something? I've been working so much with the contest coverage and stuff and getting the magazine done. I must have missed that. So I apologize, everybody. I'm way off. I'm way behind on my Rami news. Can someone sort of summarize with the apology? Greg, can you? What did he say? You don't have to write a novel for me, but I'm curious. Renaud, I would prefer Hunter wins the Olympia over Nick because his symmetry and waist is tighter. I prefer Hunter's physique in terms of the structure, the shape. It's a prettier physique. He has a lot of muscle. Nick has a lot more muscle. He's just so thick and dense. He's just a beast. So if you like that type of physique, Nick's your guy. Hunter, more aesthetic, better shape, aesthetically more pleasing physique. I like them both, but they're very, very different. They're apples and oranges. They're completely different looks. Barry A, thoughts on coming off cycles and just doing clomiphene for the time off? Just come off. You don't need to take anything. You don't. I mean, if your estrogen levels are going sky high after a cycle, you can get on an aromatase inhibitor or something, like Arimidex, Aromacin, but clomiphene is, isn't that Novadex? No, it's Clomid. I'm sorry, Clomid. Clomid's really just for your balls, to get your testicular volume back and semen volume. I mean, if those things are very important to you, go for it. I mean, most of us don't care about our nuts anymore. Nanny Wrestlebego, can you build muscle on a low carb diet? I'm sure a lot of people can, as long as you're having enough calories. So if you're having low carbs, you need to be eating higher fat, because it's all a continuum. So you need to be in a caloric surplus to gain muscle. You need to be taking in more calories than you're burning. Just like to lose body fat, you need to take in less calories than you're burning. It's calories in versus calories out. So you can probably build muscle on low carbs if your fat is high enough. There are a lot of people that follow like a paleo type of diet that's higher in fat and lower in carbs. He just did it now. Oh, so I just missed the apology now. Yes, yes, Barry. Thank you so much. I knew the word because O'Connor, I think Dr. O'Connor, who I did a ton of videos with. I think this is his term, ASIH, anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism. Yeah, you remember from the interviews, anabolic. I think he came up with that term. I think he invented that term. Charlie Jordan. So Gregor, he apologized for not showing up in Pittsburgh. Gave no reason whatsoever, like nothing. Well, that's not cool. He could have said something. I mean, obviously there was a reason. You know, I respect he wants his pride. He's got his personal life and his privacy and everything, but the guy's got millions and millions of fans. He is our top representative. He is our guy. That's our Mr. Olympia champion. He's the greatest bodybuilder in the world. I think he does kind of owe us an explanation. Sorry, I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I know a lot of his fans will say he doesn't owe us shit, and whatever. I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all stink. I love that. Oh, man. Ron Ferdinand. What a great first name. Ron. Ron, how old are you? Because I don't meet too many Rons that are like under the age of 40. They stopped naming people Ron a long time ago. Ronald. So thoughts on metformin? I've actually been thinking about starting it, but I haven't. It helps keep insulin sensitivity. And so it has a lot of benefits, but I don't know enough about it, and I haven't had to look into it. I typically only look into things when I have to. I'm that guy. Interesting, Greg. Renaud, who would you recommend Nick Walker works with to improve posing and stage presence? At the Pittsburgh guest posing, Derek Stoll showed stage energy, and Hunter looked great for off-season. I mean, the best posing coach in the world is probably Kenny Wallach, who works most of the time. He's in Connecticut at that Montanari Brothers powerhouse gym in New Haven, but he works with tons of people on FaceTime and Skype and Zoom and stuff like that. But he's the man when it comes to posing. But as far as like energy, yeah, you have to have that. That's something I've never seen him like totally pumped up. Not everyone's like that. People have different personalities. Stefan Todorovic, Ron, I've not been a consistent surplus for years, yet gain muscle every year on TRT doses. How do you explain this? You're a mutant, Stefan. I mean, how do you, if you don't track your calories, do you? Because I mean, how would you not know that you're in a surplus? You probably are. Because I mean, if you're gaining weight, if you're gaining muscle, you can't assimilate lean muscle tissue out of thin air. It has to come from somewhere. It has to come in from the nutrients you're taking in. Like you can't build a house out of air. You need, I don't know, wood and metal and ceramic and shit like that. I don't know, a bunch of nails. I don't know. You can see how dopey I am with that stuff. But you have to have the building blocks come from somewhere. You can't assimilate muscle tissue, build muscle tissue from nothing. You must be in a surplus. You have to be. There's no way you could keep gaining lean muscle tissue. It wouldn't even make sense. That's like saying, I put someone in a room and starved them for 30 days and they came out and they were 5 pounds heavier. That doesn't make any sense, right? They would be probably like 50 pounds lighter. Ron Ferdinand, LOL, I'm 28 and thanks. Ron Ferdinand, what country are you in? Maybe in other countries they still use the name. It's like my wife's name is Janet. I don't think I've met a female named Janet in the US who's under 40 and geez, ever? Lately. Certain names just went out of style a long time ago, Big Rip. Nanny Rasulbego, you look big and ripped, man. What's your caloric intake? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. If I guessed, I'd probably be so way off. But it wouldn't even matter because my calorie intake might be way more than what you need. It might be way less than what you need. We all have different metabolisms, activity levels. So, each of us has to kind of find our own way with our nutrition. That's why it's good to have these tracking apps that everyone can get on their phone very easily now. And that way, if I'm not gaining, well, here's what I've been eating. I can make adjustments. I can eat a little bit more. Or if I'm getting fat, I can eat a little bit less. You know, it's an easy way. Oh boy. Ron Ferdinand, thoughts on telmisartan? I don't even know what that is. What an idiot I am, huh? It's some kind of peptide? I don't know. Oh no, I'm sorry. Isn't it a medication to prevent heart attack or heart disease? This is why I have like Dr. T, you know, people that are actual medical doctors and geniuses. I just ask the questions and sit back and let them give me all the medical science and all that, because I don't know. I'm not that studious. Training. I love talking about training. That's my thing. I could talk about that all day. Gregory, I'm not coming to Toronto. I'm sorry. I wish I was. Love that show. Barry A, thoughts on testicular shrinkage on cycle. Is this true? I keep hearing guys saying that they've got raisins or capers for nuts. Not sure I believe. Yeah, your testicles will shrink. I don't think too many people experience it to the degree where they're like raisins, but all right, you guys ready to talk balls? I mean, mine used to be they were big. They're like plums. And now they're probably about, I don't know, what's that, kiwi? I don't know. They're probably about half the size they were. And I'm cool with that. They're not raisins by any means, but why would you? The only reason I think you would want big balls is so that you have more semen volume, so that when you have sex, you can impress your wife, girlfriend, or one night stand from Tinder by ejaculating a big mess of semen all over her or something, right? I mean, why else would you care about having big balls? They're not fun to look. I've never heard a woman like say that guy's got really good cute balls or anything. They'll talk about a guy's. I'm sure women talk about penises, but balls or something. They're just these hairy. I don't think anybody likes the way they look, really. I mean, nobody. They're functional. We need them to do. To produce testosterone and things like that, but that's it. Let's see. Alberto Montejo, Yates went through a bit of anguish quitting PEDs cold turkey. Got to say the same here. Yeah. Back in Dorian's day when he quit in 1997, when he retired, he just totally went off steroids. He went from being all loaded up on gear for years to nothing. And that's rough. That's the worst possible way to do it, because you have this huge crash. Whereas now most people know that you want to transition to TRT. So instead of blasting on a gram, 2, 3, 4, all kinds of gear, you just go down to a TRT dose, which will keep you feeling more like yourself. You still have energy. You won't be as strong, but you won't have that crash where you get weak and tired and depressed. And, a lot of guys have gotten suicidal. Dr. O'Connor has talked about actual cases of suicide that have been reported from men who went off steroids, and they got their testosterone levels went to like nothing. Their estrogen levels went through the roof, and they got very depressed, and some of them took their own lives because they felt so awful, so depressed, so sad, especially watching their physique, this great body they had, all these muscles shrink down, all those cuts are gone, now they're getting fatter. It's awful. So at least if you go on TRT, you won't experience that horrible crash. You'll still lose size and strength, but you won't have that like loss of sex drive and energy and all that stuff. Okay, so Barry A, telmisartan is an ARB, angiotensin receptor blocker, which lowers blood pressure and retains potassium better. Yeah, that's a good thing. So Renaud, is a bodybuilder's posture a key part of showing the muscles on stage? Some guys have more pelvic tilt than others, which makes their shape look off. Guys like Roden and Cedric had great posture. Well, I think anybody looks better if they're standing tall, not slouching, lifting up the chest. I see people on stage and they're kind of hunched. No, you always want to stand tall. I always say, stand tall, look big, look wide. You always want to present yourself to the best way you possibly can. So good posture helps. It's just part of presentation. You never want to look slouched. A slouch posture communicates a lack of confidence. And the one thing you want to have on stage or exude is confidence. You want to look like you're the winner, not just the actual physique, but the way you present it. You want to present a winning aura, a winning attitude, for sure. Aesthetic muscles. Can leg extensions alone build big quads while using gear? You'll build a little bit of muscle with leg extensions. You won't build much. I mean, it's not a very effective loading exercise. It's a single joint movement. You can go heavy on it. I used to go very heavy, but that's a bad idea because the knee is taking all that stress. So I used to stack like 45s on, 1 or 2 45s on a stack of leg extensions, thinking, wow, what a stud I am. But eventually my knees started killing me. I stopped doing that. So leg extensions they're better than nothing, but certainly you're doing yourself a huge disservice by, if you can squat, I always say this, if you can squat, you should squat. If you don't have any injuries or limitations that would prevent you from squatting, squat. People say, how'd you build your legs, Ron? It was years and years of heavy, deep squats, lots and lots of squats. I did a lot of leg presses and hack squats as well, but I attribute the majority of the leg size that I built through squats. So I would definitely do squats, leg presses, hack squats. Leg extensions, you can add them in there, but they're not the main course. I would not rely on those very much. Here we go. Ron Ferdinand, I'm from UK. But I've not met another Ron under the age of 40 either. It's not a popular name here too. Yeah, there was a famous soccer player or a footballer. Did he play for Manchester United? Named Ron Harris. Ron Chopper Harris in the 70s. I was alive, but I was a kid. But he's way more popular. If I Google Ron Harris, he comes up way more than I do. He was a big deal in soccer, football, whatever. You guys call it football, right? Let's see. Renaud, around which year did pros start staying on gear year-round? I don't know if there was a specific year, but I think it was the 90s. I think as people started chasing more and more size, as size became more of the criteria for what was being rewarded, I think people came to the conclusion that instead of, like the old school guys like Arnold in that era, they were off gear most of the year. So they would build most of their size naturally. Really, they did. And then they would use gear for the 3 months or so leading into a competition. And they would eat more calories. So they would typically grow into shows back then. Things changed as years went on, and shape and aesthetics sort of took a backside to guys all wanted to be like 250 to 280 on stage. So at that point, people decided, well, I need gear all the time because I need it not only when I'm dieting and preparing for a show to keep my muscle, but I want to use more gear in the off season too, so I can gain more muscle, to have more muscle once I start my diet. And they just never went off. And I think that's a main reason we're seeing a lot more health problems. Of course, social media is a huge contributor to why guys stay on gear, guys and girls stay on gear year round now, because they never want to look smaller or less than. They're taking pictures and videos and putting out content, and they want to always present themselves at their best. They don't want people to see what they look like off drugs, because that's not as big or as lean. What is a good beginner dose? Oh, hang on. Sorry, we're going back. DJ Leader, classic physique is the future. I agree. 5 years will take over the open. I don't know about that. 212 will be obsolete. Oh, that's very cruel. Samson Dowd has an awesome physique. True. And can bridge the gap to old school, new school fans. Yes, Samson's no joke. Very impressed with Samson at the Arnold and especially at the Boston Pro. The Nigerian Lion, coached by Milos Sarshev. Samson looks great. Tons of size, 270 on stage with a small waist. Yeah, he's going to go places. Aesthetic muscles, what's a good beginner dose for NPP in a 12-week cycle with 400 milligrams test and anthate? Typically, people will tell you to use twice as much test as DECA, and NPP is a form of DECA. It's a fast-acting form. I think you could use, I'm not a steroid expert, but I think you could get away with, you probably have to use about the same amount to see results, 400. So, if libido is going to be an issue or ED becomes an issue, I guess you could always get some Cialis or Viagra or whatever. I mean, I don't think ED is a problem anymore. We have all these damn pills to take care of it. Renaud, is Ian Valliere a shoo-in for first call-outs at the Olympia? No one's a shoo-in, except for the champ. How many guys will be in the first call-out? First call-out is no more than 6. So it'll be 5 or 6 guys. Who knows who it's going to be? Who knows who's going to actually show up at the show, what they're going to look like. We're way too far out to know. Finally, someone from Egypt. Customer service. I'm Egyptian. The numbers are low for Egypt because testing was also super low. Compared to the U.S. I'd say at least 1 out of every 4 Egyptians got the Rona. Didn't even think of that the numbers could be skewed if you have less people being tested, then you don't know how many people actually have the virus, right? I didn't even think of that. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that little bit of info there. That's important. Faisal Abdu, what Rona? That's just a slang term for the coronavirus. Some people call it the Rona. It's a term that came about early on the pandemic in early 2020. You can still call it, like some people won't even say the word coronavirus or COVID. They just call it the virus. Just like they won't say vaccine. They'll call it the jab or the shot or the clot shot. Charlie Jordan. Vince Taylor never squatted, if I remember right. No, he did. He never squatted with more than 225. He was not a very strong squatter. He had good quads. They weren't like crazy quadzilla quads, but they were certainly, the guy won like 22 pro shows, something like that. Yeah, I mean, not everyone needs to squat very heavy. Some people squat super heavy just because they're very good at the exercise and they like it. I had really big quads in my heyday. They're still good. They're not as big as they used to be. But in my heyday, heavy for me was like 455 for 465 for 10, something like that. I was never like you see these guys all the time now doing like 6-7 plates. I could do that for like one shitty half rep. I was not doing reps with that weight. Let's see. Greg Ely's, how did you end up in American Muscle back in the day? So American Muscle was a TV show on ESPN that ran for something like 15 years. I worked on that show. It was a monthly magazine format show. Originally it was called American Muscle Magazine. We had contest coverage, profiles, star workouts, cooking segments, gossip segments, fashion segments. It was a cool show. So I was at Emerson College for my last 3 years of school. I was a mass communications major. And the last semester of my senior year, you didn't have to, but you could choose to do the LA program, they called it. Emerson's Boston. But you could go out to LA and take a couple classes. I think we only had to take 2 classes, and they were like night classes. And the rest of the time you interned at a company that was related to your field. And I was a film major, but I had already gotten the meathead bug. I was already a bodybuilding fan. Hadn't competed yet. No, wait a minute. I had competed. I started competing when I was 19. What am I saying? Anyway, I knew about this show, and I just sent a resume and a demo reel on VHS of some of the stuff I'd done at film school, which was mostly bodybuilding related, like just training montages and stuff. And I went out to LA and started interning there, and he hired me almost right away. From, an intern's supposed to be like getting people coffee and stuff, right? But from like the first day I was there, I got there in January 1991. They were putting together the 1-hour special for the Ms. Olympia, which had happened in November of 1990. And they had me, Lou, the producer, had me writing scripts for that, for the voiceover guy, from like day one, because they saw that I had taken a lot of writing classes, and I provided some writing samples, I think, with my resume. So anyway, I got hired full time while I was supposed to be an intern, and I was only supposed to be there like 15 hours a week, and he had me working 40 hours a week, I think from the second week I was there. And then I was only supposed to be in LA for that semester. I was supposed to go home in May. I stayed there for another 10 years, working from 91 to 98 on that show. But yeah, that was a great show, and we'll never see that again. We'll never see bodybuilding on mainstream TV, nor do we need to. We have YouTube. There's so many platforms. Netflix has like Generation Iron, the Ronnie Coleman documentary, so we don't even need it on ESPN anymore. Let's see. Customer service from Egypt. The post he made about Mecca wasn't about faith. It was about his friend who was sick. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I didn't do the C translation to see what it was about, but yeah, I'm sure he's got all kinds of friends and family over there. I'm sure Rami's a great guy and everything. I've always gotten a good vibe from him when I talk to him and everything. I just wish he would do more for the title, with the title. That's all. If it's selfish, then I apologize, but I'd like to see Mr. Olympia out and about all over the world, at least, a couple times a year. Like if we have a U.S. champion, I think he should go to Europe. He should go to Middle East. He should go at least to these places a few times a year to let the people meet him and, greet the public and all the fans. Like most of the U.S. champs would go to places like Kuwait and Dubai and meet all the fans, Saudi Arabia. Renaud, should the IFBB openly denounce the size game and reward guys like Hunter and Urs, who are smaller but have a classic shape? It's a slippery slope. What do you say? Are they going to come out and say, we're changing all our criteria? It's not going to be about mass anymore. I think classic physique is the answer to that, where size can never be the overruling criteria because they do have a weight cap. They can't get too big or else they're not allowed to compete. So Bumstead, for example, he's competing close to 230 now, right? He can't get any bigger than that. If he does, he's going to have to go to open. That's it. So he has to keep that size and just keep refining what he has. So I think classic was, I don't know if that was the reason, but I think that's where you see the aesthetics and the shape and proportions, the beautiful physiques being rewarded much more so than if some guy, well, I guess he wouldn't make the weight limit if he was just some big bulky guy. He wouldn't even be in classic. So yeah, that's a whole other topic. I like Simpson. Yeah, he's great. Renaud, I think Ursa's dosage are tiny compared to Bumstead's. I don't think Bumstead uses much. I mean, nothing about Bumstead looks to me like a heavy gear user. He's not aging prematurely. He's still got that beautiful head of hair. His skin looks good. I don't think Bumstead uses a lot. I don't think Ursa uses. I don't think any of the guys in classic use a lot. I think everyone uses drugs. The men's physique guys everyone uses drugs. Even the bikini girls, most of them use drugs. Most of them, not all of them. I just think the classic guys use less because they're not trying to be huge and they're not trying to carry excessive amounts of muscle bulk on their frames because they can't or they'd be out of the division. Arnold, Nick Walker will win this. Oh, you're probably in a huge crowd of people who feel that way. Walker Nation, you're good fans, and you know what? Maybe he will. Why not? And stranger things have happened, and he's right at the. Speaking of stranger things, it's Wednesday, and that season 4 kicks off on Friday on Netflix. Yes. Aesthetic muscles. What's your biggest pet peeve in the gym? People not putting their weights away. Put your freaking weights away. I hate when I see. It's not so much at my gym now, Bayshore Athletic Club in Braintree, Mass, but there's a 24/7 Family Fitness that used to be Gold in my town. I could be there in less than 10 minutes. Really good equipment, big place, indoor track. It's a great gym, but they have a lot of members there who leave weights everywhere, like a squat rack with a bar way up high with 4 plates on each side, 3 plates on each side, whatever. Leg press loaded up. Someone would leave it with like 8 or 9 plates on the side. Dumbbells all over the place. I hate that shit. If you're strong enough to pick it up, you're strong enough to put it away. And if you don't, you're an asshole. You are an asshole if you leave your weights on there. That's how I feel. That's my biggest pet peeve. Right now, has Brett Wilkin qualified for Olympia? I'd like to see him on first call-outs. No, he is not qualified yet. He needs to win a show. And yeah. I don't know if he's done for the season or if he's coming back. I feel like he might come back later in the season and try to qualify, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll talk to him about it. He's someone I like to keep in touch with. He's a good dude, Brett Wilkin. Renaud, will Curry retire soon or be like Dexter and keep competing until 50? He's not even 40 now, so I don't see him retiring anytime soon. He really wants that title back. He's very determined to go back to Kuwait earlier this time. He didn't go back. He didn't go there early enough for the Arnold to be in his best condition. I think he only had 10 weeks there, 9 or 10 weeks. He needs a full 16 weeks there to be his best. I think he's fully capable of getting his title back. There's some heavy hitters in there. Rami might very well compete again. You still have Hadi Chupan to deal with. You got Hunter. You got Nick Walker. Ian. You got a lot of guys who want that title. So it's going to be a tough one. But Brandon, I don't think he's retiring anytime soon. Gregory Ulysse, the 1991 Ms. Olympia, the controversial one. Yeah, I was there. We were covering that. So the one I started writing scripts for was 1990. It had happened this is how long we had to wait to see things on TV back then. Or, now you see it instantly on a stream. So back then, the Ms. Olympia had happened in November of 1990. And I was out there in January and they were just putting together the 1-hour special for ESPN. 2 months later, that's how long you had to wait back then to see things on TV. And even the magazines, you had to wait a good 4 to 6 weeks to see the pictures in the magazine. There was no internet. So you couldn't see one picture of the Mr. Olympia, the Ms. Olympia for at least a month, unless you were there at the show. That's how things used to be. So you guys have no idea how spoiled you are with this instantaneous pictures, videos, everything. You get it right away. You don't know how crappy it was back in the day. It was ridiculous how long we used to call up gyms the day after, like the local Powerhouse or Gold. Hey, do you know who won the Mr. Olympia? Do you have the top 5? Do you have the top 10? And they would usually, a lot of gyms where the bodybuilders train, they would keep a list by the phone because they knew the day after the Olympia, everybody would be calling. That's how crazy it was back then. Yeah, and this is a phone, not a cell phone. It had a little coil and everything. A landline. But what Gregory's talking about is Bev Francis had beat Linda Murray after the judging, and somehow the scores were put up on like a big screen. They weren't supposed to be, and everybody saw it like, oh, Bev's gonna win, and then somehow she didn't win. So that was controversial. Renaud, will Regan or Ian win the Open Olympia? I think they'd be great ambassadors. I don't think it's out of the question. I don't like to write anybody off. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I think Regan has the potential. I don't see it happening like this year, but 2-3 years, why not? He's still growing. He's still improving. Beautiful physique on Regan. Great guy. Great attitude. So, yeah, why not? And Ian, stranger things have happened. He's got kind of a Dorian-esque physique, and Dorian won 6 of them. I don't write anybody off anymore. I don't say, oh, this guy will never, ever win the Olympia unless, if they have horrible shape or they're really small. Some people you can look at, they're like third call-out guys at a second-tier show. They're probably never winning the Olympia, but a lot of other people have that potential. Renaud, thoughts on Bumstead's official height being taller than he is so he can pack on more pounds on stage? Urs has mentioned this. Measuring height is such a weird thing. I see them doing the heights at the shows for the classic guys and the men's physique guys. And, you could slouch a little bit, your hair. I mean, and our heights, we're taller when we wake up in the morning, and we get a little shorter as the day goes on because there's like less fluid and like more compression of the spine. So height is such a weird thing, but I don't think there's any conspiracy to make Bumstead taller so he can be heavier. I don't know. Everyone's always looking for things to talk about. Gregory, at least again, I would still say if there was a weigh-in at the Open Olympia, it would make them more exciting. Yeah, they did. So the last time they only weighed people at the Olympia, or the last time, maybe they did it before, was 1988 when the Olympia was held in Los Angeles. And they weighed the guys in, and most of them were much lighter than what they said they were all the time. Like they'd say, I compete at 240, and they get on the scale and they're like 222. Some of them were like way lighter than you thought they were. And even when they were weighing, and they didn't make them strip down to trunks. A lot of these guys are still in like, sweats and sneakers, and they were still way lighter than they claimed to be. So they'll never do that again because I don't think these guys don't want to, ruin their mystique. If they say they're 270, and most guys, I don't think most guys lie about their weight, but some guys sure do because they want to be bigger. So if 250 sounds better than 230, 270 sounds better than 250, I'm sure a lot of guys pad their weight. Renaud, my biggest problem with today's bodybuilders is that they don't compete enough. Bring back the world tours like Ronnie Flex Kevin did. Yeah, a lot of guys will do like one show a year and then they'll shut it down. Not everyone's like that, but we do see a lot less frequent competing. We don't have as many of those back-to-back shows. We don't have the European tours like they used to. Those tours were a special thing because they were flown. The promoters would fly, or the IFBB, I think it was promoters. They would fly these guys to all the shows, put them up. Whereas now most of these guys have to, unless they have a sponsor paying for their travel expenses, most of them have to fork out all their own money to come and do these shows. And as you know, especially international travel, it's very expensive. And, you got to figure the hotel. These hotels are usually $200 or more a night. Either you can't bring all your food with you for like a whole week. You got to pay for all the food. It's expensive. So I get it. But yeah, I would like to see these guys compete more like they did in the old days. Ali, Rami just posted an apology on Instagram. I wish I could look at it, but I'm using my phone to record. I'm glad he apologized. I'm glad. Why don't you make an interview with Big Ramy? Says Abdul. I'd love to. I've tried to contact Rami several times for an interview. I never hear anything back. I have been able to catch him at like the Meet the Olympians because he's there and he's interviewing people that run up to him with a microphone. But even when he was with, was it Mutant? Who was he with? What company was he just with? Whatever company he was with, I was trying to get an interview through them. Could not get one. I would love to. He just doesn't respond to me. It's easier for people that know him, like Dennis James. That's his friend. So obviously, if he asks him for an interview, he'll say, "Yeah, he knows him. He has access to him." I have no access to Rami. If I message him on Instagram, he's got 10,000 DMs a day. He's not going to respond to me. I'd love to. I'd love to. I have nothing against the guy. I think he's a very nice guy. He's a family man. He's certainly worked very hard to get where he is today. You know, he started off a poor fisherman. You know, he's got a great success story. I would just wish we could see more of him and hear more from him. That's all. Stu McKenzie, heart attack waiting to happen? Me or Rami or who? I mean, you could say that about a lot of bodybuilders, but I don't know. Rona, would you rather be signed to Raw, Gasp, or Hostile for a supplement contract? Well, Gasp is not a supplement company. I got a Gasp shirt. They're a clothing company. I guess it would be, if I was in my prime, it would just be, you know, most of these guys, it comes down to money. It's who gives them the best offer. You know, they'll get offers from a few different companies, and say you're Joe Pro, company A offers you 100 grand, company B offers you 150 grand, company C offers you 200 grand a year. What are you going to pick? Because you don't have a lot of time in bodybuilding. It's not a long career for most of these guys, and you never know. You're always like a pec tear away from the career being over, or, you know, a health problem or something ending your career. You never know. So they take the money where they can get it. Yeah. Abdul Rahman Sharaf, do you think Rami can win that over and over again? I don't see anyone really threatening him. You know, Brandon's pushed him pretty hard, but he still beat Brandon. I thought it could have went either way last year, but I think Rami's capable of winning a couple more Olympias. Certainly. Especially if he's able to get more muscle maturity and detail. That's the one thing that I always want to see more of. I still want to see more of with him, is a lot more little striations and detail. He's got all the size in the world. He does not need to be any bigger. I think even he knows that. More detail, more refinement. You know, there would be more to look at, more going on when he hits poses. He's very, very good, but he could be better. You know, there's never been a perfect physique that was perfect in every aspect. It's always a chase for perfection, always, with any bodybuilder. Big Ramy issued an apology. Yeah, thank you. I did hear that. I'm glad he did that. It's, you know, I don't know what took him so long, but I'm glad he did go do that. Abdul Rahman Sharaf, is Dennis James coach Big Ramy? Not as a nutritionist, but as a trainer. Well, so Rami comes over to stay with Dennis in the final, 6 to 8 weeks, I think, before the Olympia. Comes out to Arizona, and so he trains him then. He coaches him, but I don't know if he has a weight training coach over in Egypt right now. I don't. Maybe can someone tell me if he does? I don't know. But Chad Nichols is his nutritionist. He was also Ronnie Coleman's nutritionist. He worked with Flex Wheeler before that. Yeah. Renaud and Valier said for $20K a month he would leave Revive. Oh, so he's getting less than that. I mean, $20K a year, what's that come out to? Almost $300,000 a year? Yeah, I mean, why would you not go where the money is? Unless, like, all else being equal, these companies all have good products, right? They're all produced in very high quality facilities and all that. So unless you have a personal relationship with the owners or something like that, why would it matter which company you went to? You would just go for the highest bidder. Why wouldn't you? I would. You guys tell me you wouldn't do that? Company A offers you 50 grand, and I'm being more extreme now. Company B offers you 200 grand. You're telling me you're not going to go with the company that offers you 4 times more money? Of course you would. You're not stupid. I'm assuming. Oh, he was with Enhanced Labs. Thank you. That's right. He was. Yeah. Abdul Rahman Sharaf. Can you just shout this name out? Bodak Sharaf. Did I say it right? Bodak Sharaf. I didn't shout. I hope that was good enough. Renaud, is whey protein a byproduct of natural milk production, therefore an inferior supplement to milk? No, it's like the skim off. They leave milk out and it's the stuff on the top that they skim off. They used to throw it away for years, for decades and decades. They used to just throw the whey away, and then someone must have figured out how high value it was as a protein. They made it a supplement. Renaud, was Matt Porter as obsessed with bodybuilding as his videos made it seem? I think he was a good coach. He loved bodybuilding. I didn't know him well. I wish I'd known him well. He was, every time I talked to Matt, he was a really cool guy. He was a hardcore bodybuilder. He loved it. He loved the athletes. He loved training. He loved supplements, PED, all the things that come along with it. It was all things that he was very interested in and very knowledgeable about. Obsessed. Obsessed is a tricky word, don't you think? Jay Jarstar, isolate and hydro are more fast absorbing than whole milk protein, yeah. And they're higher bioavailability. It's like the gold standard. Like they're even more than an egg white. They're more bioavailable. Your body can use them more readily than even egg whites. Alberto Montejo, Joe Weider advised the bigger you get, the more defined you get. Chase size, diet cuts you up. Yeah. Oh boy. Shout this out. Your name? Abdul Rahman. Are you even spelling your own name right? Shouldn't there be an A between the R and the H toward the end there? Abdul Rahman? Because there's a pro named Abdul Rahman something else. Abdul Rahman Sharaf. Oh, I hope this isn't like a swear and you're tricking me into swearing in Arabic. I wish my son-in-law was here. He's Lebanese and he speaks fluent Arabic, of course. He grew up speaking it. All right, guys. I have to go cook. It's another food prepping adventure. I got to make 2 big blocks of ground turkey. Can Logan Franklin win the Olympia in the future? Why not? Why not? He's got a great physique. Why not? I think Terrence could win it. I think Ramondino could win it. I think Urs could win it. Bumstead could keep winning. These guys are all awesome. They all have the potential to keep winning or to win for the first time. They're all at that level. They're not, it's not like Bumstead blows. None of these guys at the top 5 of the Olympia, Breon, none of them blow the other ones away. Like they're way better. They're all on a very, very close level to each other. So why not? Yeah, so I'm going to head out, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. If you have more comments and questions, put them underneath there and I'll get to them. I'll reply. I always do. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit the little notification bell so you know when we come out with more videos. And again, Big Ramy just did issue an apology on his social media, his Instagram. So I'm glad he did that. Appreciate that as a fan. That's it. Damn, just tuned in. Don't worry, we'll watch it. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. Talk to you later.